Hello and welcome to Marriott MBA Today. I'm Josh Skelton, your host, and joining us today is Barrett Slade, Professor of Real Estate at BYU, and Matt Robinson, second-year MBA and President of the Graduate Real Estate Association. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So many students go through the MBA program without really realizing the opportunities that exist for studying abroad and gaining that international experience. Recently, Professor Slade led a group of 9 students to Europe to have such an experience. Professor Slade, would you mind telling us a little bit about that trip and where you went, what you did, and whether it was purely professional or whether there was some tourism and cultural aspect as well?
Okay, be happy to. We started in Paris and visited a large commercial real estate firm, CBRE Global Investors, and they taught us a little bit about their strategy in investing in Paris and in France. Then we moved on to Amsterdam, visited with a large firm there as well, shared with us their strategy, the nuances of investing in the Netherlands rather than in France, and the differences between the two cultures. And then we moved on to the UK, where we ended in London and visited with a firm there as well. Wonderful trip, gave the students exposure to this asset class in an international perspective. As you know, business is global and real estate is no different. So we thought it would be a wonderful opportunity to help students really broaden their horizon. Our students are naturally inclined to studying and thinking abroad. A lot of them have lived abroad, speak other languages, and overall we just had a wonderful experience and was very well received. Our hosts firms were very gracious and really gave us some excellent insight into institutional investing in international. So that is very large investment properties, hundreds of millions of dollars that these firms invest for global investors, including U.S. investors.
Well, great. It sounds like you visited some amazing places. Did you get to get out and see some of the sites, or was it quick in and quick out?
It was a quick trip through, but yes, we were able to enjoy the time there as well. As far as some of the cultural visits in Paris, the students got to see the Louvre, and we went out to Versailles, attended sacrament meeting out there, saw the new Paris temple site under construction. We also, the students got to see Versailles Gardens and Palace, and then in Paris, of course, some of the local sites like the Latin Quarters and the catacombs and things like that. They really enjoyed that.
Excellent. So I understand on a trip like this, there's got to be limited resources, limited space, and I heard there was an application process.
There was.
How did you end up choosing the students who would go, and what goals did you have for them while they were on the trip?
Well, the students did have to apply, and they were screened based upon their general interest in this asset and in real estate in general. So all the students had they'd either attended a real estate class, had some interest in pursuing careers in this sector, and were willing to adhere to all the constraints of the trip. And then the goals were to just absolutely immerse them into this asset class. Most of the students have had general business courses, but have not been immersed into this particular asset class. So that was the goal of exposing them to global real estate on a very large scale with the very top firms. And the firms were impressed with our students, and overall it went very well.
Great. Now, I know there's other study abroad trips that happen. I myself went on one last winter, which is where I got this jacket. But I was wondering, is this the first time that you yourself have led one, and there's been one that was real estate focused?
I've taken students on general business study abroads before, executive MBAs as well as undergraduates to Europe, but this is the first for just primarily real estate.
Do you think it'll happen again?
Will it happen again? I hope it does. We're getting feedback now from the students to see if it was worth their time and if it was insightful, and Matt will be able to speak to that. We think it was. The firms were very impressed with our students. We got exceptional letters back from them saying how much they enjoyed our students, and they hoped that we would return to visit them someday. So yeah, I hope to.
Great.
Yes.
Well, with that, Matt, let's get your perspective. Besides being the president of the Graduate Real Estate Association, what were your incentives for going, and how did you decide to go? What benefit were you hoping to get?
So, I mean, it's like Barrett said, you know, you can't ignore international business in the global environment that we work in. And I have an interest in pursuing a career in real estate, specifically in institutional real estate, not with you know, like a small developer or anything like that. And when you get to the institutional level, that same principle holds true. You can't ignore the international markets. And so that was kind of the first thing I was looking to get out of the trip. And then the second thing I would say was more of a personal reason for going. I had never been outside of North America and had never really had any desire to work internationally. And so this was an opportunity for me to see what it would be like to, you know, work internationally in real estate, and if it's something that I would enjoy doing. So those are kind of the two goals that I wanted to achieve with the trip.
Great. Maybe you could tell us one or two highlights from what you learned from the trip, as well as culturally what you enjoyed the most.
I mean, as far as highlights go, I mean, just general thing that I learned was the fundamentals are the same everywhere, you know, which is not what you think of usually when you think of doing business abroad or investing abroad, because you just imagine everything being so different. And there are definitely huge nuances of investing abroad in real estate, but when you drill down to the most basic level, the fundamentals are the same. You just have to really figure out how to filter everything out to get to that kind of level that you can understand it. So that was a key takeaway from the trip. And as far as cultural experiences, you know, the crepes in Paris were really good. I had 13 in one day. So
wow, 13.
So if the trip keeps going, I think we're gonna have a little competition to see, you know, who can hold the record the longest or beat it. But I would have to say that Versailles was really impressive. I think that was my favorite part of the cultural things that we did. Just the scale and the magnificence of that place was just inspiring and humbling at the same time. So
absolutely.
Cool.
So for those who might be hoping to beat your record there, was that with chantilly, and were there fruits in the crepe, or was it just plain? You
know, yeah, we're going to have to start adding more parameters around the size and crepes. I will say the last one that I was they asked, the other students were egging on the crepe maker, and I told him to make it as thick as he could, loaded with Nutella and bananas, and that was a tough one.
So there's a story behind this, because I had taken the executive MBAs the spring before, and one of the students ate 12 gelato cones in one day, and so I was egging them on, saying, and I had forgot that it was gelato, and I thought it was crepes. And so I mentioned to these students, I said, hey, one student last year had 12 crepes. Let's see if any of you can beat this. And Matt took it up. He was going to do it. And then I realized part through the day that it was gelatos. It wasn't crepes, but I didn't have the heart to tell him, because he was on a roll and he broke the record. So now that record will hopefully stand for some time. We'll see, though, the next time we go.
Well, that's impressive. Yeah. Speaking of next time, Matt, do you have any words for students who are possibly considering a real estate trip or another one of the study abroad trips, whether or not they should go?
Absolutely. I mean, as far as, you know, ranking it as far as my, you know, top experiences within the MBA program, it's definitely, you know, top 3 experiences that I've had. So I definitely recommend that people go on one. Doesn't necessarily have to be the real estate one. And as far as advice for students considering going on the real estate one, I would say, you know, make sure that you do a little bit of homework before you go, especially on the asset class, because I was impressed with the presentations, how insightful and detailed they were. But if you didn't really have kind of a foundational understanding of the asset class, you would have been totally lost. So that would be my advice.
Great advice. Professor Slade, any last words that you would offer to students considering?
Yes, I agree with Matt. I think some preparation ahead of time always makes it a richer experience, even though we did meet prior to a number of occasions and had the students do company as well as country research prior to going. That was helpful, but a little more in depth would probably make it even a better experience, because the firms were sharp and they just rolled out the red carpet and just really gave us a lot of meat, so to speak. I do thank the Perry Institute for supporting this trip. They were instrumental in providing student scholarships, and I think the impact that these trips have on students is immeasurable. It just broadens their whole mindset, their whole vision of what's possible, the industry. We just can't hardly duplicate this sort of experience in the classroom, and so the Perry Institute is grateful for their support.
Great, thank you very much. I myself, like I said, went on one of these trips, and I could totally agree. And thank you very much for helping explain more about the real estate trip to our viewers, and thank you for joining us on another episode of Marriott MBA Today.